Okay, this is a week 6 going over list boxes. I created an app called, let's see here, My Apps, or My List. I created a project called My List. FRM main on the form, as always. And I told you to add a list box and give the ability to add and remove list items with buttons. So I have a list box here. I've named this one LST Apps is the name property. I have a text box below it. I named mine TXT Add, an add button, BNT Add, with the text property Add. Remove button, BNT Remove, with the text property Remove. And exit button, BNT Exit, text property is Exit. I did change the label of the form as well to List Boxes in the text property, and I made the form level on the start position center screen. So I'll run it first and go over the code. So as I entered in each one of the lists here, click the Add button. It adds this text box contents to the list. It also then clears out the text box, sets a focus back to the text box. Now to delete one of these lists, I'll try to, without clicking on one of these, I'm going to click on this Remove Selected. Notice nothing happens. And you'll see in a second, but since nothing's selected, nothing can be removed. Same thing here. Since if there's nothing in the text box and I click Add, nothing's going to add to this list because there's nothing there. But if I select one, like I just did here, then click Remove, now it removes it. Then the Exit button is going to exit the app. So let's go over the code first on the load of this form. Remember, the form load is what happens, whatever's in the form load is what runs when the app runs. So I'm going to double click on the blue bar at the top of my form. Notice it goes to my form load event. And I have in there the name of the text box, .select. What that's going to do is activate the control and set the cursor to it. So when I run the app, you'll notice a cursor is blinking in that text to add text box. The next one I'm going to go to is the Add button. Double click on the Add button and it takes me to the code for that. First thing I do is check to see if the text box is not empty. So if txt.text is not equal to empty quotes, meaning there's something in it, then this line here is going to add the text box to the list box with the .items.add and then the value. The next line is going to clear the text box. Third line is going to select focus on the text box. Remove selected. Double click on that and look at the code there. If listapps.selected index is not equal to -1. What that means is if you want to determine if a list box is unselected, the value of selected index will always be -1. If something is selected, it'll be 0 and beyond. 0, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So if this is true, meaning something is selected, this line will run. If it's false, nothing runs. We could put an else path in here to tell the user to, please select something. So I could put in here selected item required. So if I run it, try to tap this, notice it says selected item required. Alright. So again, this line removes the item from the list box. So let's test it again. I'm just going to add a few here. There's my message box. Do one more. The last one we're going to do is the exit button. Double click on the exit button. It's going to run the application.exit to exit the application. And one last thing to look at here before we're done is if we wanted the user to be able to type in a item and hit the enter key on the keyboard and enter it in, we could also do that. If we double click on this text box and go to, it's right now in the text changed event by default. We could actually do something, but as far as key enter or key press, meaning enter a keyboard command. So we'll do like the key press, and we could do if, and we'll use the E event object here. Let's do the sender, not E. Oh, I'm in the region change. I don't want that. I want the key press. So you have key press here. Object also E dot. E dot is going to give me all the event args for the key press. So I'll do, let's see, key care. And if we do equals, it should pop up some other numbers as well, or other variables as well. So we'll do like, say, VB return or enter. If we wanted the user to be able to just hit the enter button after they enter in something in the text box here and not hit the add button, all we have to do is go over here to the form and click on an empty object anywhere on the form. Go over here to the accept button property, and by default it's going to be set to none. You can select it to btn add or btn exit or btn remove. We want the add, which is fitting for that text box. Now if we run the app, and I type in, do not click the add button, just hit the enter key on the keyboard. I can now just type in, and as I'm typing in, hitting the return key on my keyboard, it's adding them to the list box. Then click on the corresponding item to remove it. So that concludes a list box, how to add a list box, how to add and remove items to the list box, how to even use the button, any button, as a default enter for the form. In this case, the accept button is for the BTN add. So practice that. You can modify it, add more features to it, but that should get you started.